I am Captain Logan, and this is day 233 of Spawn Year. Jason Wynn is back. Unfortunately, I'm not just referring to the comic book character. I've managed to purposefully make a few things happen with these new powers, but I'm light years away from having total control of them. I'm trying to conserve my energy, and suddenly that beady-eyed, cigar-smoking action figure with the voice of the creepy psychic lady from Poltergeist shows up on my chair just because I saw a picture of Jason Wynn. And why are you talking? Did I manifest the same Jason Wynn figure that taunted me in the graveyard? Or are you just talking because that's how I remember you? I'm not even entertaining the notion now that I'm insane and hearing voices. I'm way past that, buddy.
You finally made a choice and I'm proud of you. But obviously, it was the wrong one. Captain Logan, you have to face facts. As Malbolgia once said, it's time for you to die.
I know I need to save my power, but you're worth this. Off to whatever hell manipulative plastic action figures with 0 points of articulation go when they're incinerated. Man, that was curiously satisfying. Anyway, today's comic. Wanda melodramatically proclaims on page 1 that after 10 years of wrestling with Al's ghost, she wishes he had never been born. Okay, now I know nobody's taking any care whatsoever to keep the timeline consistent. You're telling me the Spawn comics relate events in real time? How could what little action I have witnessed in this bloated, meandering, stalling, stretched out, beating around the bush, sluggish, and aimless narrative have possibly happened in as much as a decade? With the exception of that short period the series was shipped semi-monthly, that means that on average a month's time passes between each issue. Obviously that's not really the format, so perhaps a lot of time passes between story arcs, but we know by and large the first 100 issues can't span more than 2 or 3 years because Cyan is always young enough to suck on a pacifier. Just from that example, it seems like less time than that goes by. The first time we see Cyan, she's already old enough to walk, and it's not like Sam and Twitch investigated Chief Banks for 2 years over those 25 issues, or that it took Cygor a year and a half to get to New York City. But I shouldn't jump to conclusions. Characters really haven't seemed to age at all until very recently. Twitch's son Max and Andy's brother Eddie, both in storylines in the last year, are both several years older since the last time we saw them, which means I think that Al hasn't returned back to Earth a bunch of years after he went back to Hell like he did the first time, but rather that we fast forwarded some time before that. I'd have guessed all that traveling Spawn did after he killed Malbolgia took place over a long time, but we recently got a timestamp that a year's worth of issues somehow covered the year after that. Maybe it was during that Spawn the Undead period. Maybe everything up to that point happened in a year, and each issue of Spawn the Undead marks 9 more years after that. Or maybe Brian Hogwin gave up trying to make any sense out of this mess long before I did. Never mind, my sanity is still in question. All I know is Cyan certainly doesn't look like she's 12 years old. We're not covering any more ground here than in your average Spawn comic. Nyx buys Al a hamburger, explains her Wiccan powers, tells him she's here to help him find what he's lost, takes him home, and sleeps with him. Immediately suggesting they have sex to help Al relax seemed pretty suspicious to me, but Al's not any sharper out of costume than he is in it. And don't tell me his wits are with his costume. If you think that, you're confusing dumb luck with cunning. If Spawn ever had any intuition, he buried it with those guns he was always losing in the trash. It seems now like Nyx isn't a magical good Samaritan, but a tricky witch who has some personal motive for reuniting Al with his costume, unless she's just a misguided do-gooder trying to help bring order to the universe, and stabbing Al with a crooked ceremonial knife is just the only way. If she's not just a good Samaritan, this would at least explain Nyx's beliefs about shadows as the dark side of humanity being a romanticized fixation rather than another ridiculous absolute truth. When Nyx says, "I feel like Wendy and Peter Pan," this certainly feels like a wish fulfillment fantasy for her. Good job, Hogwin, going for the obvious literary reference there. Oh well, I guess I also did it yesterday. Oh, and what's with the octopus lamp? Earlier, when Al inquires about her unusual name, she says Nyx was the Greek goddess of night. It really sounds like she's up to no good. Personally, I wonder if her name is prophetic, like she's gonna get nixed in the near future. We all know how the devil likes making fatal deals with cute chicks with superpowers. Maybe she'll be one of the 5 female heads for the advertisement for issue 150. There's some effectively spooky imagery here. Al's Spawn costume following him like he's casting it in shadow, and especially the red bed sheets Nyx ties him up with when she performs the ritual, ambiguously resembling his cloak as he dreams about it and enticing the reader to wonder if it actually is his cloak. And seriously, it looks pretty easy to escape from it if it's not. You sure wouldn't have to be MacGyver. Meanwhile, Jason Wynn, who seems to have lost his eternal curse of thinking he has no skin, is guided by a vision of Clown to negotiate a deal with NSA agents to give up info on Al Simmons in exchange for his freedom, as he's been rotting in a hole, I guess, for all that time that apparently passed at some point, just like the hole he once imprisoned Forsberg in. I think we're supposed to expect this might be the real Clown. He has a weird cliche cartoon moment when he argues with an angel version of himself on Wynn's shoulders and kills the angel version. That seems like Clown's antics. It's closer to the movie version, but Hogman's new to writing the character, so maybe he has his own spin on it. Unless Wynn just destroyed what little conscience he had left inside his own mind. Clown being a representation of the warped man he's become, trying to recapture his cool-headed, calculated former self, might be interesting. Signed, Captain Logan.
Hi there.